Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming. I'm David Kapp. I'm the United States Attorney for the Northern District of Indiana. To my far right is our United States Marshal, Myron Sutton. To my right is the Special Agent in charge for the DEA in Chicago and Indianapolis, Dennis Wichern. To my far left, most of you know our Michigan City Chief, Mark Swistek. Next to Mark is Brian Gensel, the Porter County prosecutor, and of course to my left, our Mayor Ron Muir. Heroin has become a scourge on many of our communities. Many young people are destroying their lives, sometimes losing their life. Families and neighborhoods are devastated. Sadly, this has not escaped Porter or LaPorte counties in the greater Michigan City area. Today, however, we are announcing a 9-defendant federal indictment, which removes a significant heroin distribution conspiracy from the streets of Northwest Indiana. Charged in the indictment, as I said, are 9 individuals: Anton Willis of Rickton Park, Illinois, Quinn Dinkins of Chicago, Illinois, Tracy West of Chicago, Illinois, Jordan Gutkowski of Michigan City, Indiana, Brandon Hewer of Michigan City, Nathan Mugros of Michigan City, Derek Penwell of Michigan City, Brittany Lamond of Michigan City, and James Jones of Westville. We have a press release with all these details. You'll all receive a copy of that at the conclusion, and you'll also receive a copy of the federal indictment if you don't have that already. The indictment alleges that the principal supplier of the heroin was Anton Willis out of the Chicago area. Other suppliers were Dinkins and Tracy West, all of them from the greater Chicago area. When law enforcement arrested Willis last week in Illinois, they conducted 2 searches on residents controlled by Willis. Those searches netted quantities of heroin, along with various drug paraphernalia and packaging material. The remaining 6 defendants would travel to Illinois to purchase heroin, return to Northwest Indiana for the use and/or resale of the heroin. For specific examples, the indictment alleges early 2014, Gutkowski, at times accompanied by Hewer, both of them from Michigan City, traveled on at least 12 occasions to obtain heroin from Willis in Illinois. Similarly, the indictment alleges that Penwell, Lamond, and Jones, Penwell and Lamond from Michigan City, Jones from Westville, were in regular phone contact with Willis to obtain heroin. Penwell, Lamond, and Jones were arrested earlier this year in Portage as a result of an investigation by the Porter County Drug Task Force led by Porter County Prosecutor Brian Gensel. Mr. Gensel's office has filed state charges on those 3 individuals, and Mr. Gensel has worked closely with the U.S. Attorney's Office on this indictment, and we will soon be transferring Penwell, Lamond, and Jones into federal custody, and we will proceed against them in federal court. The DEA and the Michigan City Police Department arrested all of the others late last week. Each of these defendants will be appearing before a U.S. magistrate judge in South Bend throughout this week. My office will seek to hold all of them without bond. I want to thank the DEA, the Michigan City Police Department, and the Porter County Prosecutor's Office for their excellent work here. Also want to thank the Chicago Police Department for the assistance they provided all of us across the border. Indictments like this require a great deal of behind-the-scenes work as well in the U.S. Attorney's Office. And Assistant United States Attorney Frank Schaefer in our South Bend office is the one that did all of the work for us. And I want to publicly thank AUSA Schaefer. He could not be here with us today because as we speak, he is in court in hearings with some of these individuals. As U.S. Attorney, I often speak publicly throughout Northwest Indiana on various crime issues. And my theme is generally the same, and that is, in Northwest Indiana, we have a regional crime problem. We don't have a Michigan City crime problem. We don't have a Portage crime problem. We don't have a Gary problem, and we don't have an East Chicago problem. We have a regional problem, as this indictment clearly shows. And the only way to address a regional crime problem is in the fashion that we've done in this indictment, and that is for all of law enforcement, federal and local, to come together as a team. I want to finish with telling the public that this investigation is not over, and this team that's represented up here today will continue its work on this problem, and that I am hopeful in the near future we may have some additional charges to announce. I'd like to ask Mayor Beard to say a few words at this time. Mayor.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to start off by thanking the U.S. Attorney's Office and Mr. Kapp for all their work and cooperation in bringing these various law enforcement agencies together to work on this, if you would, a stream between Chicago, Illinois, and Northwest Indiana, and many times in this case in LaPorte County in particular. This is very devastating to LaPorte County and throughout Northwest Indiana. Heroin is destroying people's families from all aspects of it, and this is a start, I believe, in a battle that will continue through this area, and hopefully that we will start to see the results of this as we try to improve our community's quality of life. This is something that's devastating to the quality of life in a community. So I am just very thankful that all these agencies are working together. Of course, all of the agencies in LaPorte County continue to work in an effort to reduce crime of all aspects. But with that, a special thank you to, of course, my local department, the Michigan City Police Department, and all the men and women that work there. And with that, who can give a lot further explanation of what's going on in the cooperation, I'd like to bring up Michigan City Police Chief Mark Swistek.
Good morning. On behalf of the men and women of the Michigan City Police Department, it is a true honor and privilege to have the collaboration that we have with our federal partners that are to my right. From the U.S. Attorney's Office, the U.S. Marshals, and DEA, this joint investigation has gone on for some time has resulted in arrests that have impacted families across LaPorte County for some time now. And again, I cannot say thank you enough to Lieutenant Steve Westfall and all the members of the Michigan City Police Department who are dedicated to this investigation, along with our partners, again, from the U.S. Attorney's Office and DEA. There are countless hours, time taken away from their families, where these officers put in nights and weekends and put their lives at risk to make this a better community for all of us here in LaPorte County. And as U.S. Attorney Dave Kapp had touched on this morning, I'm often asked, why are our officers leaving the jurisdictional boundaries of the city of Michigan City and going into other jurisdictions? Today is the reason that we're here, is to tell you about the great news that all of these men and women worked so hard over these last several months to put this investigation together, to safeguard our residents here, and to hopefully find some solutions for those that are out there suffering from this heroin addiction that plagues not only LaPorte County, but all of Northwest Indiana. So thank you again to all the investigators, and thank you for being here.
Thank you, Chief. I'd like to ask Porter County Prosecutor Brian Gensel to say a few words. Brian.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you, everybody. Dave hit the nail on the head a few moments ago when he said it's a regional problem. The prosecutors, the mayors, the leaders in communities are oftentimes asked, well, why do we have such a problem? As we all know, there's a reason that people engage in drug-seeking behavior. They have an addiction. They want to get high. They want to change how their life is and change their perception. the reality of what law enforcement does is there is a reaction to people that commit crimes in the community and that are involved in drug dealing behavior and drug possession behavior that law enforcement has to respond to. That's one of the things that we're called to do. Today demonstrates the fact that there's also some proactivity that is being done by Northwest Indiana law enforcement. And I am proud as well of the fact that the Porter County Drug Task Force works so well and so closely with all of the Northwest Indiana law enforcement agencies, as well as the U.S. Attorney's Office, the DEA, the Michigan City Police, the LaPorte County Metro Drug Task Force, all of the agencies that are tasked with trying to get a handle on the people that are bringing poison into our communities. And this is a prime example of intercooperation and relationship building that has accomplished some good. We're going to take some people off the streets, ultimately, that are bringing, again, the poison into our communities. This particular investigation clearly won't solve the problem. There's a lot more to be done. However, I am hopeful and optimistic that with the ongoing relationships that we all have, that we will see more successes in the future and bring people to justice for, again, harming and devastating the quality of life in our communities.
Thank you, Brian. And Dennis Whitchern from the DEA. Dennis?
Thank you, Mr. Cap. Heroin use across America has exploded, causing approximately 4,000 deaths a year, and that number continues to climb. Sadly, heroin use in Indiana is above national averages. As national studies have shown, a large percentage of the new first-time heroin users started with prescription painkillers. And as heroin continues to affect the great state of Indiana and this great area up here in Northwest Indiana, we must continue to target the traffickers like this team did today. We've got to continue to work on our treatment and expand our treatment. And probably the most important thing we all have to remember is we have to work with our young adults and our teenagers in our prevention efforts. We got to stop those first-time kids from ever trying heroin. It's a hard road to ever get off of. And then lastly, I want to applaud all the team up here standing next to me, but I want to kind of applaud the guys in the back, and you know who you are because all the supervisors get to stand up here in front of everybody today and speak. But where the rubber hits the road is in the back, and you guys know who you are, and I can spot about 6 or 8 of you back there smiling. That's where the real work is. But I do want to assure you all, on behalf of DEA, everyone standing up here today wants to make their city, their county, their state, their region a better and a safer place, and that's what we're going to continue to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. We'll take some questions. Sir.
Hi, Brian Brophy with WIMS Radio.
Yes.
City. Thank you for your service to the community for what you guys are doing because I've been following this problem as a recovering alcoholic and an addict myself and doing a radio show about recovery. I've had a chance to follow this problem very much so. My question is, this is obviously a big arrest. Is this one of the biggest arrests for our area as it relates to indictments on distribution? And if not, where do we go from here after these indictments are made?
Well, number one, it's certainly one of the bigger indictments on the heroin coming out of LaPorte County that we've done in the federal system. And where we go from here is in several directions. From the law enforcement perspective, as I said, this investigation is not over. And I suspect in the not too distant future to make some more significant federal arrests. But as Agent Whitchern said, we've also got to keep in mind that there's the rehabilitation that we've got to start dealing with in this society and the prevention. It is critical that we reach out to our young kids. I've been doing some things where I've been going into the middle schools, not the high schools, middle schools. Ooh, excuse me. You know, that's the age groups that we need to start talking to. So that's where we go from here in a number of different directions. Law enforcement is certainly not the full answer to this problem. It's part of the answer. We've supplied part of the solution today, I believe. Questions, anyone? You guys are quiet today. Anything else? Okay, good. Thank you very much.